One channel work. Alright, well, welcome X-Smith, Legitimate, and Vengeful. Very cool guys, though. Appreciate you guys hanging out.
Now, you are our last chance.
Get him! Get him, Peppa! Yeah, buddy! Yeah! Pepper, takes the
Yeah.
Mission complete.
White front! Nice, dude. That was awesome. Great job, dude.
Ladies and gents, PepperBelly here with some more Rainbow Six Siege, and this is going to be my overall conclusive assessment of the closed alpha. Because you all know, those of you who have seen it, my last video was more of an angry rant based on the current state of the game and what I saw initially. So it was a first impressions based off of 6 to 7 to 8 hours roughly, give or take. And since then, I have put in probably about 20 or more hours into the closed alpha because I really wanted to assess it on all fronts. I really wanted to experience it as much as I can to come to a definitive conclusion of the game and how it is. Now, what I can say without a doubt in my mind, is that every point I mentioned in my video before still stands. But what I'm basically going to be doing is elaborating on some of the things I did say, so some of the minor things I mentioned in that last video, and elaborating on it. So one of the things I said in my last video was that the game is still fun. It's not terrible. Like I said, it was a travesty. It was a travesty because it had Rainbow Six in the title, and we were promised one thing, and it changed. It was a bait and switch. What we saw in the E3 depicted a certain type of gameplay, and then what we're seeing now is different. So that is why I was infuriated. Why I was really, really bugged. Especially with the fact that Ubisoft promised to go back to the roots of old traditional Rainbow Six titles. Slow, methodical, tactical gameplay. And that's not what we really have. We have more of an arcade shooter. There's a lot more arcade elements in the game than there are realistic. And that's where most of us get mad. Myself included. So, the game at face value can be fun. And the best way I can describe it is simply, it has its moments. But what are those moments? Those moments are when it replicates, as best as the game possibly can given its state, hardcore tactical shooter elements. So, in essence, we're playing an arcade game that can sort of give an illusion, a feeling of playing a hardcore tactical shooter. Now, where does this actually stem from? And I pretty much narrowed it down. It comes with using the ballistic shield, because the ballistic shield can only really be used in defensive posture when you're using your iron sights, when you hold down the right mouse button and you bring up your sights and you're ready to shoot. That's the only way the ballistic shield actually becomes viable to defend yourself from incoming rounds. But what does that inevitably force you to do? To move slower and to move smarter. As a result, the game feels more tactical. And as a result of that, you get those moments that actually feel great. And that greatness is essentially what a tactical shooter is all the time, because it has that element built into its gameplay. Every other aspect of this game screams fast-paced arcade shooter. And when you're using the ballistic shield, it slows things down. And it makes you feel like you're a lot more tactical, you're more aware of your surroundings, and you're moving and coordinating as a team, versus just being a gunner and basically slaying shit like I'm doing right now. So, that's pretty much where I figured it out. Was that right there. And also the fact that you're moving with your iron sights up, it slows down the game. Like, the speed you're moving with your iron sights up, to me, should be your walking speed default. Like, that should just be how fast you move, period. And then if you bring up your sights, even slower. Especially with the fact that there's no weapon bobbing or sway or whatever. But the game, as I said, is still fun because of those moments. And that's why all my points still stand, because imagine where this game would be if those slow, methodical, tactical gameplay elements that you experience, like in those brief moments of actually moving slowly and coordinated, were pretty much the core gameplay mechanics. And that's how the game just felt all the time. No matter what weapon you're using, no matter what class, no matter what. Just playing the game. It would be fantastic. It would be freaking great. But of course, that wouldn't take away from all the other issues in the game, like the fact that bullets originate from the center of your screen instead of the actual end of your barrel, of your weapon, and things like that. And that stuff to me needs to be like... That's something I would like to see in a true tactical shooter, because that enhances realism. And I can tell you that we're not alone in this, because the actual lead level designer from Rainbow Six Ravenshield, I believe he also worked on Ghost Recon, he came out himself and said that... He commented on Rainbow Six Siege, actually. He said... The interviewer asked him a question, and he's like, what was the one piece of advice you would give Ubisoft right now who are developing Rainbow Six Siege? And I can't quote him as accurately as I would like, but what he said in essence was this. Make the game as realistic as possible and minimize all the arcade elements as much as you can. This way you will win back the hardcore Rainbow Six fan base that you have lost over the years from turning the game into basically an action tactical shooter. More action than realistic and tactical with arcade elements built in. Do that and you will win the hearts and minds of the true Rainbow Six fans. I agree completely. And the fact that a guy, a lead level designer, who created probably, or helped create one of the best tactical shooters out there, even to this day. If you go and download and play Rainbow Six, I still play Ravenshield. That game is phenomenal. Still stands. The maps, people still remember the maps from that game like the back of their hand. Some remember it better than their own houses. It's like, that game is iconic. And he was part of the team, so it's like you think his opinion weighs heavily on everything because he made a very successful tactical shooter. He helped make one. And I mean, Ubisoft should really take that to heart. Because it's true. Especially when you put Rainbow Six in the title of the game you are developing, with promises to go back to its old school, hardcore, tactical nature. So there's a lot of people out there that actually think the game is tremendously fun. You know, people are like, oh, the game is fantastic. I don't know why there's so much hate. Like, there's a lot of people out there that aren't vocalizing, and they say, and then when they do, they're saying they enjoyed the game, they don't really have any problems with it. And the reality is, most of those players, when they're asked, have you ever played old school Rainbow Six games, most of them are saying no. Some of them have played Vegas, and they're like, oh yeah, I played Vegas, I'm playing this is better than Vegas. It's like, okay, well then you don't truly understand what I'm talking about. Then there are others, I'd like to discredit everything, there are other people as well who have played old school Rainbow Six games and played this and still enjoy it. Because they're just taking the game for what it is. It's like going to a movie and, just enjoy it for what it is. Like, the movie may be cheesy, it may be like over, ridiculous, not realistic at all. It's like, for example, like people that are in the army and they watch a war movie and they're like, they get mad, or they're just like, they can poke all sort of holes in it because it's like, it's not real, that's not how it really is. It's kind of the same idea here. You don't care, you just take it for what it is. And people that are doing that with this particular game don't care. And this also, as I briefly mentioned before, sort of stems from the fact that if you removed Rainbow Six from the title of this game, expectations would be lower, and the overall gameplay you're experiencing wouldn't be as damaging to a lot of the players. It wouldn't be as disappointing as all of us, or not all of us, but most of us are now. Mainly the core Rainbow Six fans. So, in the end, the game is fun, and it has its moments, but those moments are derived from when it best emulates realistic hardcore tactical gameplay. So what does that basically tell you in essence? Well, for me, that tells me that, yes, everything I said before stands, and I want to see a true tactical shooter because I want those moments to be throughout the entire game. Constantly. Not forced with certain things like a ballistic shield kind of enforcing that type of gameplay. I want it to be the standard. I want it to be the normal core gameplay mechanics on how the game functions overall. That's how I want it to feel. So Ubisoft has some major decisions to make. they really have to go back to the drawing board, which is what they're doing. They're going to be sitting down, and they're really going to go over everything that's been given to them with excruciating detail, and they're going to assess everything, and they're gonna make up their minds on what they're going to do, what audience they're targeting, what they plan on doing. And once they figure that out, they're actually going to get back to all of us. They're going to tell us what they're going to do. They're going to tell us their final decision, and they're going to tell us why they made that decision. And to me, that is the most crucial element of it, because we need to know why. Even if we don't agree with the design decisions or what you ultimately choose, it'll give us peace of mind knowing why you chose it. And that's all we could ask for. And hopefully, they make the right choice and go more towards the tactical nature and make it more like traditional Rainbow Six titles. We'll find out. So my name is PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I will see you guys on the next one.